Hi everyone, it's Stephanie. Well, thank you for clicking on my YouTube channel, B2B Collections and Credit, which concentrates on collecting money on commercial invoices and establishing and maintaining business credit lines. Today's video on May 23rd, 2021 is about the misapplication of credit memos. Although there are many ways for invoices to not get the correct payments and credits applied to them, today's video is about the 4 most common ways that credit memos get misapplied. Yes, that number sounds like just a few, but they cover a wide range of scenarios. Credit memos, if you are unfamiliar with them, are deductions and payments due. That is the simplest way to describe them. Here now is a list of the 4 most common ways that credit memos get misapplied to invoices or in unintended ways. They will be described in further detail afterward. Number 1, double dipping, using the same credit memo twice. Number 2, credit memo applied to an unintended invoice. Number 3, juxtaposed numbers. Number 4, misunderstanding between the customer and the sales rep or an authorized manager at your company. Okay, first, double dipping of credit memos, using the same credit memo twice. One way to double dip is for the customer to use the same credit memo on the same invoice twice. The credit memo your company issued and the one your customer decided to issue themselves for the invoice you sent them. This happens when the customer thought the intended invoice was already paid according to their records and applies the credit memo to another invoice without telling anyone. Or the customer applies the credit memo to a different invoice because the customer thought the partially paid invoice, which is the reduced invoice, the invoice that was supposed to have the credit memo, would have the balance written off, and this was just an extra credit memo sitting unapplied on their account. Now here is an example, especially for ongoing monthly invoices, which is common in leasing, and it starts with double dipping. A credit memo is to be issued for the following month to be applied to the next monthly invoice, but the customer issues their own credit memo for the current month without telling anyone. Then when the intended credit memo shows up from you, they apply it to the intended invoice, hence double dipping, using the same credit memo on 2 different invoices. Of course, the latter invoice later shows up as an overpayment on their records because of the misapplied credit memo, and they take the extra dollar amount off and leave it sit on their account as unapplied, or worse, go ahead and apply it to another invoice just to lower the amount of that invoice. Again, without mentioning it to anyone or with unclear records. This is one way to start the snowball effect. Again, that is something you really want to avoid. From an accounting and reconciliation perspective, this is the last thing you want. Unless, of course, you want to be the one to unravel 4 years of messed up payments and credit memo applications and impress your manager and your customer's manager. This actually happened to me in my first collections job. I noticed how the payment misapplications continued to grow as I attempted to correct the current invoices. This was a great way to meet over the phone an accounting executive and to be taken more seriously than I already was. I had actually had no prior experience in accounting or collections, but used logic, common sense, basic math, and perseverance. For me, account reconciliation or matching payments and credits to their corresponding invoices is like a combination of a game and being a detective, and those are 2 things that almost everyone likes to do. Number 3, juxtapose numbers on the invoice number or the credit memo number. A credit memo can get applied to the wrong invoice if the invoice number indicated on the check stub has 2 numbers inside the long invoice number accidentally juxtaposed, where they are switched around like that. Or the credit memo has a juxtaposed number and it sits on the account unapplied, or the dollar amount has juxtaposed numbers. The customer says they never received the credit memo and then just short pay it, eventually applying the unapplied credit memo somewhere else. Number 4, misunderstanding between the customer and the sales rep or an authorized manager at your company. A misunderstanding in communication between a customer and a sales rep or between a customer and an authorized manager at your company regarding the dollar amount to be credited can wreak havoc and confusion. Or there can be a misunderstanding of which invoices were to receive the credit memos. This can also lead to double dipping, by the way, because the customer applies the credit memo based on a conversation that was not confirmed by a follow-up email or text to an unintended invoice. A great way to avoid all this in the first place is for the collector to send emails to AP, accounts payable, with lists of invoices to be issued credit memos, the credit memo numbers, and their dollar amount. Also, a great tip, I believe, is to ask the customer to send their list of invoices from you that they feel need to have credit memos. Then we can all be in agreement on the exact invoices that are in dispute. Now there may be some other stragglers, but you can do a follow-up email and ask them to send further invoices that they have disputes with, or you could send a list of the remaining invoices and ask them if there are any dispute on these, otherwise they are to be paid in full. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, as far as sending a list of invoices with their corresponding credit memos, do the same with the previous month with a note to AP to advise if this matches their record. Also, if you can, have the customer send you their list of monthly credit memo numbers from you, dollar amounts, and to which invoices they were applied. Yes, this seems like a lot of work, but it could be also a streamlining experience to see which invoices are not included on their list that is on your list, or that's on your list and not their list. This might also be able to be done by XLOOKUP. For accounts with reconciliation problems, as a collector, keep on top of those accounts, making sure payments and credits match between you and the customer on a daily basis, or weekly basis if necessary, until all is straightened out. Then do it on a monthly basis. That is my recommendation. Well, I hope you found this video on credit memo misapplication helpful, informative, and even entertaining. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate all of it. My name is Stephanie. Thank you for watching this video on my YouTube channel, B2B Collections and Credit, and I hope to see you again on the next video.